So let's do it. Welcome. Let's dive into the world of the Maya. So you've all seen those pictures of the pyramids in Egypt. You might even have had a chance to visit them. But did you know there are bigger pyramids in South America and even in China as well? Very large pyramids. So there are ancient civilizations all over the world. Now, some of them we know a little bit about, some of them we know nothing about. Today we'll dive into a little bit of history regarding this ancient civilization. And it begins around about 2600 BC, when the Mayan began to settle in the Yucatan area of Mexico, that is Central America. Yeah, get your maps out. check out where those places are. Now, Mesoamerica was home to some of the most iconic civilizations in the world, each with its own unique achievements. The Aztecs had their elite warriors, the Incas their engineering marvels, and the Maya, their apocalyptic predictions. Oh yeah, there's some dark stuff in the Mayan culture. There's some really dark stuff. We'll get into it. However, the Maya were responsible for much more than doomsday headlines. They were actually accomplished mathematicians, artists, astronomers, and architects. They even developed the first writing system known in pre-Columbian Americas. So there's a mix there. I mean, I imagine that they had an intellectual elite, but as happens with the rise and fall of civilizations across time, it eventually, after hundreds, maybe thousands of years, all civilizations return to where they came from. Anyway, moving on. They were, in general, at the beginning, a peaceful community of forest dwellers, or so the studies say. However, the more that their civilization developed, the more it grew, I can imagine, the more pressures there were on their communities and on the environment around about them. And as a result, war was not uncommon between the different Mayan cities. It was often sparked by rivalry over trade, and the victors were well known to leave with more than just status. Their prisoners were ritually sacrificed and skulls displayed on wooden trophy racks. Whoa! Oh my gosh! Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Heads on heads on stakes doesn't sound like a very nice place to live to me. But we we grow, we evolve, we develop, we try to move forward, I suppose. So the Maya saw the world in a very unique way. I think every culture does. Every culture has its unique perspective on what is normal, what is natural, what is happening in the universe and the world around about them. And the Mayans specifically saw the universe as a great tree of life. And how they described it was that the earth was the trunk, and the underworld was the roots, and the upper world would be the heavens, was the branches. And both the upper world and the underworld were feared and revered. So for sure, they had their deities and their spirits and their gods. In fact, they had these caves like water-filled sinkholes that they considered to be portals to the underworld. I think it must have been pretty scary to live in places where the supernatural was part of the culture. I just find that quite frightening, really. I mean, the things that we know about these cultures are quite rough. So so they had these portals to the underworld, and these wells they considered pretty sacred. And rather than tossing a few coins and making a wish, what they did was they offered human bodies, ceramic sculptures, jewels, and other valuable things. You know what I would have done? I would have found a way to work out how to get to the bottom of one of those places, and I'd be down there scooping out all that stuff, going, "Thank you very much, thank you very much. Next, please." But maybe that's just me. The majority of the Maya were actually at the beginning farmers, where the men cultivated the crops and the women prepared the meals. These people were obviously the lowest in the society structure or pecking order. They also had merchants and artisans who traded goods with other city-states and produced art to give thanks to the gods. Then came the priests, because every culture has their priest class. They were the keepers of knowledge. They recorded key events using their own writing system of hieroglyphics. They also used mathematics to calculate the time and movement of the planets and performed their own ceremonial rituals. The only people more important than the priests were the nobles and the king, who had complete power over the city and was obviously not somebody that you wanted to disagree with in that culture. Also of interest regarding the Mayans are the wheels of time that they used. The Maya had 3 calendars that they used simultaneously. The Tzolk'in, I butchered that, the Hab, and the long count. Okay. The Tzolk'in lasts for 260 days, has a cycle of 20 periods of 13 days. The days are numbered from 1, because you can't have 0, to 13, and they each have a name represented by a symbol. Yeah. It's interesting how time is measured differently, even in the modern world. I mean, it's nice to have all the integrations and the methods that we have for keeping things together. But I've always it's kind of interesting the way that the timing systems work and the numbers as well. It's interesting there are 365 and a quarter days in a year, and that it almost fits perfectly into a circle, doesn't it? The 360 degrees of a circle. It almost fits perfectly. Almost, but not quite, because the universe is perfectly imperfect. Anyway, back to the wheels of time. The Hab is a 365-day calendar divided into 18 months of 20 days each, and 1 month of 5 unlucky days. This measures the time it takes for the Earth to orbit the Sun, but it doesn't account for the extra quarter day the Earth needs to complete its journey, which is, of course, where we get leap years from. The third method they used was the long count, which tracks what the Maya called the universal cycle of 2,880,000 days. That's quite a lot of days, or 7,885 solar years, which is something that nobody ever really thinks about. But that's they were thinking far ahead into the future if they had a calendar like that. The Maya believed the universe is destroyed and recreated every cycle, maybe just like cultures. One of the cycles ended during the 2012 winter solstice, which triggered the prediction that the world would end. People are always saying, the world's going to end. Oh my God, it's going to end. It's going to end. It's going to end. Well, no, things just regenerate and rebirth and grow into being something new and different and hopefully something better as well. But like all civilizations, the Maya ended. By the time of the Spanish conquest in the early 1500s, many Maya cities were already a ruin. They had been abandoned hundreds of years before, leaving experts clueless as to why. One theory is that warfare tore them apart. Little has changed, and a recent gruesome discovery supports this. The skeletons of 31 assassinated royals and nobles were unearthed, that's the word, in the ruins of the Maya city Cancun, Probably I pronounced that bad as well. The area was abandoned soon after. Yes, because if you don't have a society structure, you just end up with robbing and pillaging and all kinds of other nonsense. Some other scientists, however, believe that collapsing trade routes, diseases, or even droughts were to blame. Yes, the environment matters. Recent evidence suggests the idea that the lack of rain dealt a crippling blow to the farming industry there. Apparently, rain plummeted by half during the period of the Maya's demise. What that means is at least half. The scientists calculate that in some cases they had 70% less rain, which brought drought and turned land to desert and caused the water to evaporate from lakes. And you can imagine that caused quite a lot of people to panic as well. So the Mayan, it's a cautionary tale, I think, from history about the rise and fall of cultures and civilizations. What can I say? The way that you live is probably the way that you die. So that's the interesting stuff for today. Jump online, let me know what you think. Add in some information. I'll add a few questions under the video link if you find it, and that's it for today. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a good one, and appreciate the world that we live in. Appreciate all the things, the good stuff that we have all around about us. Yeah, and don't forget to reach out and help people as well. That's it. Do it done. Speak to you soon. Take care.